Hey guys, here's a lecture on Interstellar and the biology behind Interstellar. So in this lecture, you're going to get a biological understanding of the science behind the actual science fiction. So the purpose of this lecture is for you to attain a firm understanding of the science behind a science fiction movie. As you all know, in science fiction movies, as we discussed earlier last week, there's a difference between science and science fiction, but science fiction is loosely based on actual science. So you'll be able to get a firm understanding in order to see the scientific discrepancies in the movie. Finally, you'll be able to answer questions which will evaluate your understanding of the science behind the science fiction. Alright, so we'll start off with blight. Blight is an actual disease caused by pathogenic organisms or microbes. It could be fungus, it could be bacterium, it could also be viruses. What blight does, it causes damages by producing lesions. So lesions are found here. These little dark areas are lesions. Alright, these are found in different parts of the plant, which result the plant to wither and then eventually die. And it mostly affects the leaves, and the leaves are where photosynthesis actually occurs. So blight and its effects as seen in the movies. Blight has already destroyed all the major food sources or crops in order to sustain life on this planet. So people have been starving, they lost wheat, and I'm more sure they've lost other crops as well. There's talks about how one farmer, it was the last season that he would produce okra because of blight. In order to get rid of blight, as you saw in the movie, they actually have to burn the crops in order to diminish the spread of or slow down the spread of blight. And the blight that's mentioned in the movie, once again, is fungus. It's a fungus, and this fungus relies on atmospheric nitrogen. Alright, this is where science fiction comes into play, because all living organisms cannot use this atmospheric nitrogen. It has to be fixed. So we went through the whole nitrogen cycle where you have these other organisms, decomposers, which actually fix this nitrogen and allow plants to take up this nitrogen and which is fixed, and then we actually consume it from plants. Alright, so the fact that one of the things they mentioned in the movie, that once again it's not a fact, but one of the things that they mentioned in the movie is that this blight relies on atmospheric nitrogen, right, which is science fiction. So what they're saying, or what they say is, or what you see in the movie, is that as blight grows, it kills oxygen-producing plants, producing less oxygen in the atmosphere. That's why you see this illustration over here. It produces less oxygen in the atmosphere, so oxygen is diminishing as blight is growing. So as blight spreads, oxygen diminishes because it's killing all the oxygen-producing plants. So then eventually they mentioned that life on Earth will asphyxiate, all right, or which will suffocate due to the lack of oxygen. Earth expiration, the reason Earth is going to expire is because most of the major food sources are gone and there's only corn left. Alright, major food source and oxygen supplier are the plants, and the plants are dying. Alright, so another one is there's less plants to hold down topsoil. So it's causing these huge dust storms. These huge dust storms also lift up a lot of particulate matter. So it's small, microscopic or right above microscopic matter that actually enters the lungs and causes lung damage. And one of the reasons that also the Earth is expiring is because they have limited technology and funding for this for technology in order to fight the blight. So they have limited technology and the lack of resources and funding to fight what blight is causing, or fight the cause of blight. Alright, just know that there's another biological part about this, is there's two different plans. Plan A has nothing to do with biology. What they're trying to do, they're trying to build this huge space station and try to get it off the Earth, but they have a problem. There's gravity. How are you going to get all these people into a space station and lift this space station out of the Earth's atmosphere? Plan B, that's where another part of the biology comes into play. What they have are frozen embryos. So plan B is for them to find a planet that can sustain human life and then incubate these embryos, develop new humans, use these new humans in order to produce more humans, and so forth and so forth and so forth, in order to colonize this new planet. All right? The new planet basics. In order to sustain human life on this new planet, the solar system, or the system which this new planet is going to reside in, has to have a single massive light and heat source that can serve as a long-lived, stable source of energy. It has to be a terrestrial planet, all right, non-gaseous. The planet has to be at the right distance from that energy source in order to preserve liquid water at the surface. The solar system in which this planet is found in has to be placed at it has to be in the right place in a galaxy, not too near dangerous radiation, but close enough to other stars. It also has to have an oxygen-rich atmosphere. And it has to have water. It has to have water. Life needs water. Life is sustained by water. All right? So the atmosphere as well has to be able to keep this water at a liquid state, and also has to be able to sustain oxygen. All right? Nothing is energy from the sun, or geothermal energy, or hydrothermal energy resources, right? We are going to need energy. And the next part is nutrients, and most of all is gravity to hold it all together. All right? So once they find this new planet, then they can colonize the planet, but they have to be strategic about it. There has to be a timeline to maintain the human race. Because first of all, they have to incubate these embryos and develop these babies. These babies will then develop into adults. Then they're going to use female adults to be surrogate mothers. That means they're going to implant embryos into the mothers so they can produce a new round of humans, and then it continues for quite some time. All right, in order to have genetic diversity. Remember, one of the reasons there's life on Earth because there is genetic diversity. All right, there has to be some type of genetic diversity in order for life to continue. All right, and also they have to monitor the food supply. As the population grows, are you going to be able to produce the food that this population needs? And how are you going to produce it? What else was brought on this ship? Was it just embryos, or did you bring other things such as seeds, in order to produce plants, or embryos of other animals in order to produce the animals that we use for proteins and other things and another thing. So there's many questions left unanswered in the movie, which you will elaborate on in your assignment. So here's the conclusion of this lecture. I went quickly over the biology. I spoke about blight. I spoke about the effects of blight and how it affects Earth and the oxygen supply, and also how the removal of plants allows the topsoil to be exposed. Winds come in, pick up this topsoil. You have huge dust storms, which then affect humans' respiratory system. You have how corn is about to expire because of this blight, which is a fungus. This fungus relies on atmospheric nitrogen to grow. So 78% of our atmosphere is nitrogen, so there's no stopping it. So eventually the planet is, the life on Earth will suffocate or asphyxiate. All right? And then you have Plan A and Plan B. Plan B is to find a new planet that can be a new home for the human race. So remember that many of these sci-fi movies are loosely based on actual science. So the objective of this video is to expand your basic knowledge of biology. In order to elaborate on that understanding, you will complete a follow-up assignment. So this is a great picture. A lot of people have come up to me, and this is the thinker. So this is me after watching Interstellar. So now we're going to go on to my website, and you're going to continue with your assignment.